Good afternoon, everyone. I see some familiar faces, some new faces. I'm Jerine Ahmed. I'm with Southern California Edison, and I work in the emerging products team, and I'm a technology area lead for whole buildings and HVAC. So what I was going to talk about is a little bit about the ET programs, which is emerging technologies and emerging markets and technologies that focus on demand response. So a little bit about Southern California Edison. We serve a territory down in Southern California. And one of the things that's highlighted out here is we have about close to 25% in renewable energy. And that leads to what we call our customer of the future, which is going to be a customer of choice. Customers will be looking for clean sources of energy. They'll be producing the energy, and they will be using it when they want to use it based on maybe economics, based on other drivers that they might have. And this leads to a little bit of challenges to the grid. The grid was designed for one-way transport of electrons, but now with generation, storage, and then also utilization of energy by homes and buildings. So it's how do you balance that? And along with that, we have what we call our programs to kind of manage that. So we have certain what we call our principles, and most of them are listed up there. But the key is how can we provide energy in a safe, reliable, and a cost-effective manner. Then we have also drivers. Why do we do this? So there's a whole bunch of things. I know David mentioned about SB 350, but along with that there are other factors that drive it. But energy efficiency, we call it a loading order, and energy efficiency is supposed to be the first in that loading order. Then we go through demand response, and then renewables come in that order. But as you heard this afternoon, there's also environmental impacts. There is greenhouse gas reduction requirements. So it's all balancing all the needs. This is what we call an influence curve. These are market diffusion curves. So if there's business as usual, it's the black curve, But when we have utility incentive programs on other drivers, and if we have ET intervention, we can accelerate that adoption, shorten the timeline. So that's kind of the influence curve. And that's what we hope our emerging technologies programs can do. And working with organizations like UC Davis's WCEC and others, we kind of try to achieve that. So the emerging technologies program is basically has three pieces to it. Technology development support, which is early stage engagement. Technology assessments is if there are products, you can go to the field and assess it, or you can use a lab to support the performance. And then technology introduction support is a larger deployment of those technologies. So things change. So in the future, there's going to be a little bit of a different model to the ET program. It'll be still supporting the long-term strategic plan, which has kind of 4 areas, which is Z&E, retrofits, the HVAC, and the lighting market transformations. And the ET program will kind of work towards supporting that. Ultimately, from the ET program, it goes into what we call our our efficiency programs. You can see that purple block out there, which is which has the measures. I think in the morning there was talk about deemed and customized solutions, and ultimately the exit strategy is to turn it into codes. Whether it's a case study, it can feed the code process. In this case, it'll be the Title 24 and Title 20. This has a little bit more kind of breakdown of the support. Everything fine? Okay, cool. Something. Yeah, I think we're all good. So yeah, this is a little bit more about getting into a little bit more details about how it's targeted and what happens. The programs also work in cycles. In the future, there's going to be a little bit of a transition to this model. There will be 2 statewide ET administrators. For electric, it'll be Southern California Edison, and for gas ETs, it'll be Southern California Gas Company. And of course, the core activities are still going to be done. That's the assessments, the demonstrations, and also the technology development support. So the emerging markets and technologies, that's similar to the ET, but it's more focused on the demand response kind of activities. And I'll go to under slide that will tell you what kind of strategies that's looking at. So this is a kind of a busy slide, but it shows all the different players that are kind of participating, from electric vehicles to buildings, and how the energy needs to be managed, and also when you need to manage that energy. Some of the EM&T areas of focus, I think we covered some of that earlier, but again, it has codes and standards element, it has integrated demand side management, and also collaboration with EPIC activities. So some of you might have heard this term, shape, shift, shed, shimmy. It's not a dance, but we can turn it into one. But this is also has to do with demand response, and like shaping. You can utilize the rates to kind of shape your loads the way you need it. Shifting, we have done in the past, like thermal energy storage. You make ice at night, and you can use it during the daytime when your power is required the most. And then shed is, again, we have what I call, like for example, in the residential, we have summer load shedding programs that on a call from a utility, the power can be dropped, and people subscribe to those, and sometimes they enjoy it, sometimes they suffer. That would be in that category. But and shimmy is when you can it's a fast DR, so you could use maybe variable speed technology to kind of achieve that. And the next slide is this is some of y'all must have heard about the term duck curve, right? So if you look at the blue curve, that's the duck curve. And that's pretty much happening because of solar. And so solar happens from about a little bit about, I would say about 8 or 9, and then continues to about 3, 4. And then that's when you have a steep ramp up. So this is an effect of renewables. So, so, what we are looking for is a flatter load shape, and this is where you can do it by shifting some of that energy from the hours it's needed. For example, from the evening, if you can shift it towards the time when the sun is shining, that would be shifting that load.
For clarification, this would be like a spring or a fall day.
Yeah, or even on a peak summer day too. So
Peak summer days?
yeah, it could be. So the typical curve that's been used for duck curve has been the kind of the, I would say, the spring day. But again, it could be also on a summer day that you would have that shape. And and in the future, what we have as peak time of use rates, that's also going to be changing. Today in Edison, it's from 12 to 6, which is the peak time. So that's the time when the power is the most expensive. But because of the impact of renewables, that is getting shifted. So it's going to be from 4 to 9. So during this peak time from noon to 4, the prices of energy is not going to be very high. So the price will be much higher during the later evenings. So there might be some motivation for people to shift their load also. And I'm not going to talk too much about the work that that the ET program has done. I think we saw some examples that Mark mentioned earlier in the morning. But the challenge is from a whole building perspective, we have two drivers. One is zero net energy for residential, as well as zero net energy for commercial. And that could change in the future to zero net carbon. So again, I think it's going to be good to work on those areas. HVAC can support all that from a building's perspective, whether it's residential or non-residential. And also, like I had mentioned, energy efficiency is first in the loading order. But when we talk about we talked about refrigerants and the CARB requirements of and what do we do about environmentally friendly refrigerants and those impacts. So some of the work that we're doing is trying to understand the impacts. Is it going to be affecting the capacity? Is it going to increase energy? So that was one of my questions, is what are the unintended consequences when we go with a certain regulation? So it's, I think those are things. And also, we also work our utility is in a hot, dry area. So what are the impacts on all those during those times of the season? And all the reports and work that we do is usually posted on our, what we call our ETCC website. And so reports are there, so folks can always go in and look into that. So that's all I have. Let's see, let me make sure. Yep. So thank you. If you have any questions, let me know. And I should also acknowledge a couple of my colleagues from San Diego Gas and Electric. If I can't answer, they can be able to help out also. Kate and Matt, you guys are busy today. Is it dinner time or?
I assume you're coming to dinner, and dinner's way more fun than all the speeches. And I guess, please be sure to provide feedback. Paul will send out a survey my little panels, and we had some talks, what people thought about that. Did you need more time in the laboratory, et cetera, et cetera. But in any case, thank you all for coming, and hopefully I will see you all at dinner. Anybody have any?
Absolutely.
Will you post them on the website?
I will send them. Yes, I will post them on the website, but I will also send an email out to everyone that is here when they get posted. So you don't have to keep checking our website, although that's a good thing to do too.
You just have to put your website as your background.
The one thing I did want to say when I sent out the email with the agenda and everything on it, the dinner is at the Bicycle Hall of Fame, but when you click on the little graphic to go to the map, it sends you to Seasons. That is not where you want to go. You want to go to 303 3rd Street. So that is actually, that number or the address is actually written on that email that I sent you. So make sure you put that in your phone in your map application so you can get to the right location.
And if any of you weren't there earlier, Dick Bourne, who spent a lot of time in Davis, explained that if you go up, it's on, the bicycle is on B and 3rd, but if you go to C and you go up, he said go north on C. C between 3rd and 5th. And you can even probably figure out somebody to carpool with. And so raise your hand if you want to be a designated driver. Well, that worked well. Okay, then you have to sign the liability form on the way out.
Thank you everyone for coming. I think that concludes the day, and I hope to see as many of you at dinner as can make it. Great, thank you.